Today you will watch an interview with an amazing nomad family, Ditching Suburbia. Do you want to know what type of income they have and how they travel, or what the children think about this adventure, what their largest obstacles were to enable this lifestyle, what their advice is for you? Then you must watch this interview. Introduction of the creators of Ditching Suburbia, a nomad family.
Hey there, we are the Boinks. My name is Mike. I'm introducing myself to you with my glasses up, but the sun is very bright. We're currently in Durango, Colorado, and it's late afternoon. So while you get good light on our faces, we are totally blinded. So I'm going to put my glasses on for the rest of the interview.
And I'm Crissa.
So we have two children. They are 19 as our oldest son. He's back in Michigan, where we're from. And then we have a daughter yet who's 17. Her name is Miranda. She's still with us in the RV. And we are in we'll just call it our late 40s and leave it at that.
What type of income do you have to support this nomad family lifestyle?
Well, when we started on the road a little over 5 years ago, our income was a mix of web development. So I built websites for clients. We had a training business where we trained other web developers, and we had a book that we sold, and that all worked for 3.5 years, 4 years, and then that all went kind of soft. So we are actually in the middle of scrambling to find a new income source. So I've been applying for remote friendly jobs. We've been refocusing the business and looking for new clients. We're going to be a little more aggressive about affiliate money, and then the other piece is we're currently doing what's called camp hosting, which is where you work for the campground in exchange for your campsite. And it's not so much a way to make money, it's a way to spend less money. So while we're here working, we get our campsite free, we get the Wi-Fi free, we get laundry free. We're driving less, so we're not buying as much gas. And then we do get a little bit of money if we work enough hours. So it's just a good way to kind of stop down and slow down the spending while you're trying to figure out new income sources.
What was the largest obstacle you had to overcome to enable this lifestyle?
We were pretty set up for traveling. I was homeschooling the kids, and our business was run out of the house, and so part was already set up, but we didn't have the RV, we didn't have the truck, so we did a lot of research. Okay, he did a lot of research, and we just had to find, what would be the best fit for us.
Yeah, so we're actually on our second RV. Our first one was a 30-foot fifth wheel, and that's where the trailer overlaps the bed of the truck a little bit. And the first trailer was all about being small and nimble. I actually wanted to be in the smallest thing I thought we could live in for a year, because that opens up more campsites. It's easier to drive and tow and negotiate through gas stations. But that actually ended up lasting us for around 3 years, and our kids grew up so much during that time they physically could hardly fit in the space they had to change their clothes, and they kind of wore out. So we bought a second trailer. This one's 34 feet long, and the last 6 feet of the trailer is a bunkhouse, and it's been a great rig. But actually, now that my son's moved out, it's feeling a little bit big again, and we're starting to look what happens when our daughter moves out. If we stay in RV mode, we'll downsize definitely to something much more nimble again, because we don't want to be that big going down the road.
What made you decide to travel with your own RV?
So why did we decide to travel with our own RV? We have a phrase in our house that your tolerance for inconvenience defines the shape of your adventure. So if you add up all the possible inconveniences you could have in your life, which of those can you tolerate and which can you not tolerate? And the answer to those questions kind of defines how you can live. And so for us, we wanted to travel and we wanted to explore and see new areas, but we didn't want to live in tents. I couldn't make her live in a tent.
I like electricity and water and heat.
And we like having our own space and our own bed. I mean, it's just nice being home, regardless of where you're at. And I grew up traveling in RVs, so I took long trips. Actually, we came to this, not this specific campground, but this area of the country when I was a kid, and I kind of fell in love with it. So I was really familiar with RV travel. We actually honeymooned in an RV years ago. And Crissa grew up traveling or camping in a pop-up camper, so just a smaller kind of camper trailer. So familiar with the campground scene as well. So For us, when we looked at what we were able to tolerate as far as inconveniences and what we still kind of wanted, an RV was the perfect answer to all of that.
What did your friends and family think when you told them about your traveling plans?
So when we told our family about our plans, his parents, having traveled for a long time, were like, that's great. My parents were a little more reluctant, especially my mother, primarily because we were taking the grandkids away for a year. And so she wasn't real thrilled about that then. Our friends were all excited about it.
We didn't really have any negative, really truly negative reactions. I mean, her mom was not happy, but she wasn't actively trying to stop us from going. You know, we've talked to other families who have family members or friends who kind of get mean and really take active steps to prevent them from doing this sort of thing. We didn't have that.
No. And in fact, my parents watched us over the last few years, and they actually went full-time traveling themselves. So now I could complain to them that they're going away from their grandkids. I don't know.
What do your kids think of this adventure?
So initially, our kids were 12 and 13 when we decided to hit the road. And my son was the 13-year-old, and he was all about it and excited to go. My daughter was 12, and she was not excited to go by any means. And I mean, it actually, it was almost an issue. We had to make this decision. Like, we think that the life on the road would really benefit her. We knew that she had not seen a lot of these places that we've been to, and we just knew there were a lot of adventures out there waiting for her that she just couldn't conceptualize. She just didn't have the tools to think about life in those terms. So it kind of came down to a decision point. Do we make her go knowing she's going to be unhappy but hoping she turns around, or do we give up the idea of traveling in order to keep her happy in the short term? And we ultimately decided that we were going to risk her short-term unhappiness for her long-term gain, and that paid off. Actually, we had some mishaps our first year. We were in a truck accident, and then that with another event, a weather event, we were out of the trailer for nearly 6 weeks. And at the end of all that, she was saying, I just want to go home. And I had to ask her, like, what do you mean by that? Do you mean the house that we came from or the RV? And at that point, she said, I don't care. The RV or the house, it doesn't matter. Just one or the other. And from that point on in the trip, she was much more engaged. She fell in love with beachcombing on the ocean, and later we went to the Sonoran Desert in Arizona that she loved as well. So she still, to this point, loves the traveling lifestyle yet. My son, who started off liking it about, a year, 18 months before we stopped, or before he moved out, was done, and vocally so. And so we got him to the point of, we graduated him from his homeschool, high school curriculum, got him moved out, found him, you got to find a job and found an apartment. And then curiously, started traveling. He wasn't done traveling, he was just done traveling with us. So, and I guess I can understand that. I remember what it was like to be 18. You're just kind of ready to be your own man and doing your own thing. So, no harm, no foul there.
What has been the most memorable experience so far?
That's a tough one. I've got a lot of memorable experiences. I think one of the top ones for me is we spent Easter at the Grand Canyon. We actually got up super early because we were about an hour out, and we drove in to the dark. We hadn't been there yet, and during the service, as the sun rises, you could get to see the whole Grand Canyon start brightening up, and that was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, and it was also nice because we were there with another family from our hometown, and they had launched roughly the same week we did on also a year-long RV adventure. And we kind of crisscrossed paths, and it's the first time we caught up with them again in both of our trips. So we had Easter dinner collectively. We had their 3 plus our 4, so 7 people in a 30-foot fifth wheel for Easter dinner. And it was great. It was a really good time. Other experiences, we've had a lot of wildlife encounters. Swimming with manatees in Florida is just an amazing experience. These huge, Volkswagen-sized animals that are just so docile and gentle, and you can go up and kind of pet them as they swim under you. There's places where you can kayak in Florida where there's monkeys that live in the trees. and just other wildlife spottings around the world, around the United States.
And then this past winter we stayed on an animal rescue ranch in Texas, which had basically barnyard animals. But I tell you,
except for the emu.
Well, except for the emu, yeah, and the llamas. I guess they were anyway.
What are your traveling plans?
Plans. Plans a funny word. We are in Durango, Colorado for the summer, so we'll be here through the end of September. That's the length of the camp hosting job that we agreed to. Past that, we don't know. It could be depending on a job that we get. It could be depending on clients that we get. It could be we just get to choose and go where we want to go.
Which preferably will be out west here still.
Yeah, when we started out, it was we felt that we were missing so many things. Like you just cannot see everything, and you can't do it all. And we would feel bad for God. We had to miss that, and we had to miss this. And so we really had to decide to think differently about that. And we had to decide to leave things for a future visit. So we weren't going to miss anything. We were just going to leave it for the future so that if we came back around to that area of the country again, we would have unexplored territory. So the last time we were in the West, we left a lot for a future visit. Yeah. So there's a lot of national parks and so forth that we just didn't have the chance to get to last time. So we want to catch those again. But we have this anchor back in Michigan.
Yeah. I haven't seen my son since he left in September, and by the time we're done with our Durango trip, I need to see him. So I don't know if we'll make a mad dash back to Michigan to visit him. I'm hoping kind of not that. I'd actually rather fly him out west. If he keeps a week of vacation, he can fly out west and spend some time with us, exploring one of those places that we left for a future date.
Right.
Do you have a word or advice for other families?
We certainly never tell families, hey, you should do this exact thing like we are. You should sell your house, get an RV, and travel the United States. Because it's a big world, and we've just traveled in one country of that world. And so the big thing that we advise people to do is just question the formulas. For us, people ask us if we have any regrets about doing what we've done, and my only regret is that we didn't do it sooner. We could have left easily 5 years earlier when our kids were a little younger and had even a greater window of time with them on the road. I'm so glad we jumped when we did, but we could have done it sooner. But basically, if you don't think about how you want your life to go, society will do that for you. I mean, society is all too happy to give you a job and set you up with a pension plan and make you, all worried about spending another 8 or 9 years working for us so that you get all this money. It's all kind of designed to keep you in one spot because that's where, you make the most money for other people. So it's just questioning those formulas, questioning institutions. We started questioning things like, what is church in our life, and are we living out our faith the way that we really want to be living out our faith, or is there a different way to do it? We just kind of did traditional church before because that's what everyone did and that's how we were brought up, but it turns out that doesn't really fit us anymore, so we've kind of refigured that out for ourselves. So yeah, it's not buy an RV, it's not buy a boat, it's not buy a tiny house. Those are all great options, but for you it might just be buying a smaller house, or even staying where you're at but living there differently, and living where you're at intentionally, and making efforts to get to know your neighbors, making efforts to make a community where you're at without having to go through the big upheaval of a new house and getting rid of all your stuff or whatever. So I think for me, I felt like during my 30s I was largely sleepwalking through life and just sort of doing the formula, and I wish I'd woken up like 10 years sooner.
How can we follow you along your journey?
All right, so we took so long the sun went down, so you can see our eyes. Definitely worth checking out, but start at ditchingsuburbia.com and just kind of branch off from there. All right? All right, so I think we're done. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you for watching this interview with Michael and Crissa from Ditching Suburbia. I hope you found this interview so interesting as we do. Do you want to be in our next video with an interview or with a shout out? Then give us an email at us@nomadfamily.io. And do you want to broaden your horizon? Then join us at nomadfamily.io. Hope to see you there. See you next time. Bye.